Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unlocked Tuesday live stream. Today is actually a super exciting day. We are kicking off an entire series for the month of March. We've never done this before, so you guys let me know, throughout the month how you like it. But we are doing a whole series on exit strategies, different exit strategies. I talk a lot about rentals, but that is only one part of real estate. I'm a little impartial. I do think that it's the best part of real estate, but you need all these other tools in your tool belt. So if you guys don't know me, my name is Jessie Lang. I teach people how to buy long-term rentals. Today we have a pretty sweet guest on. We have Travis Copeland, who is a longtime friend of mine and a fantastic investor here in Columbus and actually all through Ohio, really.
A little bit of everywhere now.
Yeah, a little bit of everywhere. So I will turn it over if you want to give a quick little intro, who you are, what you do, all that.
Cool. Yeah. So like Jesse said, I'm Travis. I'm here located in Grove City and Columbus. I started really just wholesaling here in Columbus. Kind of feels like that's where most people start out now.
Yep, I did too.
Yeah. So I only did Columbus. It's what I kind of knew. I'm not from here. So I feel like I knew Columbus, as I kept growing and doing the wholesaling. I wanted to get into more things, especially when, the markets changed and there was no more hedge funds buying properties, right? I really needed to start maximizing that dollar because the wholesale assignment fees weren't, what they were when hedge funds were buying. So we pivoted into doing wholesaling, but also flipping as well. So now we flipped 50 plus properties a year. Did start there in Columbus, but now we do in Dayton. I've done some back home where I'm from in Shelby County, Bellefontaine, Middletown, Licking County, really everywhere. Within about an hour and a half of Columbus, generally. So,
hour and a half, okay.
Yeah, I'd say an hour and a half radius for the most part. But yeah, we'll buy really anything inside that. We don't do the full guts generally or very large projects. We're not doing additions. We are the in and out quick cosmetic, update some things here and there. So nothing too crazy. We don't do.
And that's what, if I didn't realize you were doing 50 a year. I knew you were doing quite a few, but 50 a year, if you're doing huge additions, like you're going to need some giant team. Yeah. So if you're in and out, which is kind of your strategy, then that's way more achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would say on average, the projects we do are 60 days, probably 60-day rehab, 30 to 60 days, and on the market for another 30. We've been fortunate. We haven't had problems selling stuff yet.
Nice.
So I would say in and out 90 days or less.
Nice. Okay.
And butter.
Okay. So I definitely have some questions prepared, but something you were saying, tell me about like your team structure now. How many people does it take to flip 50 a year?
So majority of my team is really on the wholesaling side still. So I have two acquisitions folks, Haley and Danielle. We have a dispositions person. She's actually in the Philippines. And then Dawn, my mother, who is our TC. So she does manage a lot of the stuff on the flip side. So managing those contracts, turning on the utilities, doing draws and stuff for us. So she is a little more integrated on the fix and flip side from the TC perspective. Everyone else is really on the wholesale side.
Okay.
On the contracting side, I do use Wayne and Bobby or WB Bailey. I think most people know them for probably 90% of our projects.
Okay.
There are times where I will sub things out myself if it's something I know I can get done quickly and not have to use too much of my capacity to do so.
Cool. So it's really you, administrative role, and a badass GC. Essentially,
yep.
Yeah. Okay. Y'all, you hear that? You can flip 50 properties a year with kind of 2.5 people. And because Travis's time is split in many different places. So that's badass. Yeah. Really proud of you. I did not realize it was that many, and I need to up my game for sure. So from your point of view, I love rentals. You have quite a few rentals yourself. When you're underwriting a deal, what are you looking at to determine if it should be a rental or a flip?
For me, it's, if I can get into the deal and cash flow, especially in Columbus, I apologize for the parking dogs.
We're very dog friendly.
Cash flow in Columbus and or even, I hate saying this, breaking even in Columbus right now with rates and taxes increases, but not having any cash in the deal, I'll generally hold on to it.
Okay.
If I have to keep 10 plus into it, or even 5 at this point, I'm not holding on to it. If I can make 30 to 50 on a flip, I'm going to take the flip. So.
Okay. So Wise just asked, what's the average net profit per flip? So that's kind of the range you're looking at.
So our minimum typically is 30K. When we underwrite a deal, we want to go into it knowing we can make 30K or more. Okay. Now I do some projects that are wholesales that are buy and lists that we make 20, 25 on, but those are doing essentially, I buy it, clean it out, and list it.
Yeah.
20, 25. So I'll do those. I wouldn't say we do a lot of those, but to answer the question, our average profit per flip is right now probably around 40, 45.
40 to 45.
Yep.
And are you seeing an advantage on the purchase price doing your own marketing versus if you were buying from a wholesaler, or are you still seeing those profits? Because I know you buy from wholesalers as well.
Yeah. We've bought several this year, probably right around that 25 to 30 range from other wholesalers. So I would say the margins are thinner in that space.
Okay.
Just because
they have a market.
Right? Yeah, it's so competitive, one, but I just don't see great deals coming out anymore. It's hard to find those 50K rehabs, 40K rehabs, just because there is so much competition. And I would say the wholesalers that are still around are a little bit savvier with how to dispo properties. So
yeah, then they're maximizing what they can get.
Absolutely. So I would say we hover right around 30K, sometimes 25 to 30 if I'm buying from somebody else. Now I say that and I have 100K plus profit from another wholesaler. So on our own, I'd say we're anywhere probably 40 to 50 on those on our own marketing.
And that makes sense because the wholesaler typically is marking up 10, 15, 20K. So that is part of the profit. Wise, these are great questions. Let's dig into this. So why flip when you can wholesale or wholetail? Like, when are you deciding when to just list it as is? Or like, let me back up for a second. If you guys are like, what the heck is a wholetail? It's kind of a made up word. It's basically a mix between a wholesale and retail. So essentially you're buying it off market, cleaning it up and cleaning it out and listing it on the MLS. So when are you deciding to wholetail versus like fully flip something?
Yeah. So I have a perfect example of a wholetail. I actually posted this the other day. A realtor brought me a condo. His client wanted to sell. They didn't want to do anything to it. I bought it for $235. I painted it and put new bathroom sinks on and sold it for $300. So I made 25 on that deal with less than 10K rehab. So I painted it. I didn't even change the carpet, which was kind of crappy, but I gave them a credit on the back end.
Yeah.
So I didn't even change that. So what am I buying versus flipping or wholesaling versus flipping? It depends, right? It depends on our cash position as a company because we spend $40,000 a month on payroll and overhead. So if I buy everything, right, and take it down, I have a lot of projects going at once. I have a lot of hard money loans coming out at once. And if I'm not bringing cash back in to continue that marketing, then I'm screwed. So we will wholesale out of necessity to keep our marketing spend going. And then
I think that people underestimate that one because you'll see a good deal come out from a wholesaler, every so often. And I always get questions from our students. I'm like, what's wrong with this deal? Yeah. Why aren't you buying it? And it's like, yeah, because we got to keep the lights on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the people who are doing a fair amount of deals are spending a good amount of money every month. So some of it is areas I don't like. Rehab's bigger than I want to do. The other one is mostly cash position. So areas I don't like, bigger projects that I personally don't do, timeline's too long. Maybe it's in the areas I just don't buy in. So,
and that comes from knowing your buy box, knowing the types of properties that you buy, the amount of rehab you're going to take on. Like, if you're comfortable with a cosmetic, like a full cosmetic and a mechanical, and then something comes in with like major structural, or you pretty much have to do an addition in order to sell, like with the surrounding comps, like wholesale it. Like, don't get yourself in over leveraged in like your skill set.
Yeah. And I have another one I actually just returned from. It's a deal in Reynoldsburg, 30K rehab, pretty easy in and out, 3-1 on a slab. Super easy project, right? We have it in contract at 152. I think we send it out at 165. A lot of people were in that 160 to 162 range. I think we had an offer at 165. So I could have made $13,000 at that. ARV's 245. So if I put that 30K into it, it's less than a month job for me at this time. I can make that 30K. So I'm doubling my profit by being able to take it down versus wholesaling it. So some of it just comes down to, does the headache make sense for me to just get rid of this? Or is it an easy enough project for me to double my revenue?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. That's exactly right. And it comes down to, again, like knowing what you're good at and what you want to take on and what the numbers are. Okay. So what are some like key differences? Because, we hear you need multiple exit strategies, but sometimes your exit strategy is going to influence like how you do the renovation project, right? So how do you determine like what you should do renovation wise for a flip versus for a rental versus, any other strategy?
Yeah, I'd say most of our stuff's still pretty templated on the flip side and then the rental side. So the rental side is absolutely the same thing every time.
Same.
Unless, something were to get discontinued or something. So rentals, we're always using the same color of paint. We're always using the same color of floor. We try to use the same plumbing fixtures if possible. Don't use the cheapest plumbing fixtures because
you'll be replacing them in a year. Yeah.
Use quality plumbing fixtures. So on the rental side, we're pretty much the same thing every time. That way, when we have turns or, repairs needed, we know exactly what we put in that. I have that issue right now is when I first started buying my portfolio, I didn't use the Baileys. So I used a different gray floor. I'm like, where the hell did I get this? What kind of floor is this? Is it the same size? And it's not the same thing I have in my other rental. So it's just a headache trying to figure out.
If you guys have been following me and know my story, like this is exactly what I do. I didn't make it up. Travis didn't make it up. This is how you scale, is you do the same thing over and over and over and over. And we are not reinventing the wheel. So yeah. And that's where people get in trouble.
Yeah. And then my flips too, I would say anything under $300,000 all look the same. For the most part, I may switch color up a little bit, but it's going to be, the small black disc lights with white subway tile backsplash and surround sounds in the shower. Generally some kind of off gray. I use austere gray, which is more of a green. Walls with white trim.
And your flip package is slightly different than your rental package?
Yeah. Obviously the rental fixture, the light fixtures probably really aren't all that different. Plumbing fixtures, we'll get creative and do some gold with gold cabinet pulls versus rentals, which are usually black.
Yeah.
Vanities, we'll put a nicer vanity in. But subway tile, sometimes we'll put that in a rental for a shower. Other times, depending on location, we'll do a fiberglass surround. Depends. Putting granite in both. So really, I would say the biggest changes are the floor. A little nicer looking floor in our flips, and then outside of that, it's really not that much different other than, we might upgrade a light for a nicer location or something.
Okay. Cool. And so outside of like the cash in your pocket, are there any other benefits you can think of to flipping versus renting? Or like if you had your choice, which one would you do?
Well, obviously benefits is having cash in your pocket, right?
Yeah, that's the big one.
However, you're being taxed a lot more on flipping. So very high tax on that short-term capital gains. But if you're doing it at volume, having a lot of cash is great, right? Versus rentals, I don't like to keep money in rentals, so I don't generally lose money on those, but then you do have the management and stuff like that. So rentals are not passive. They are very active income. But there are benefits, obviously the tax benefits and stuff like that. But for me, if I were to choose, I would flip until I had enough money saved to have enough, runway on rentals, for when things do arise and stuff like that.
Let's talk. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, I will say myself, and I've seen other people do this, get into rentals maybe a little bit too early. And then, they're So for me, running another business, if I have to take cash away from my flipping business or wholesaling business on rentals, kind of hamstrings what I can do. So I just have a good runway for, those unforeseen things that are going to pop up on a rental.
Wait, what are you talking about? We know everything that's going to happen in a rental. It's
unfortunately not.
There's unforeseen in every single aspect of this business.
100%.
Yeah.
Flipping too. You open up a wall and you're like, that's why I was just in Reynoldsburg. They're like, you're going to have to redo a lot of this electric. This is not going to flow with your new design. So it's always something.
Yeah. And so, okay, we talk about the cash from rentals and you don't want to hamstring your other businesses. So the cash from flipping, how do you kind of plan your strategy for, you're going to flip and you want some of that money to go towards your rental business? Like, how do you pace that out?
I wish I had a good mythology behind
that instinct.
I will say we buy heavily at the end of the year in anticipation of listing now in the spring. So, we've probably already bought and listed 10 to 15 projects this year, just because knowing at the end of the year, spring market's the best market, right? So if I can list properties from February to May, that's when I want to do it. When people go back to, or when kids get out of school, people take their summer vacations, they're out traveling, doing things, and they're not looking at houses. It slows down quite a bit in June, July, might pick back up in August. So if I can buy as much as I can at the end of the year in anticipation to close or to sell them and put them on the spring market, we're doing that.
Awesome.
Rental, again, this too is kind of a cash thing. It's like if there's been times where I, went into a deal thinking it's going to be a rental. I'm like, we might need some cash. Let's sell it, right?
We're in the middle of one of those right now. We've had the same property get broken into 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't even want to own this anymore. I'm just going to sell it because I'm over it.
Yeah. We see this every year in Q3. Like, I don't know what it is. We get smoked every year in Q3. It's the slowest time of year for us, wholesale and flip side. So it's like in those times, we'll probably sell something, that we might have thought we were going to keep as a rental and make some cash on it.
Yeah.
So some of it's a timing thing. I would say my strategy has changed more to purchasing more. Come to the next one where we talk about, going to different markets as well. So I've branched out into more of a cash flow play, sub 100 to 120 rentals in the Dayton area. So more of a cash flow play, less appreciation, obviously not as expensive property.
Yep. And I get that question all the time in our student community and outside as well. It's like, well, there's no deals in Columbus. I'm like, okay, it is more competitive. That is true. First, I'm still buying deals. Yes, there are fewer perfect BRRRRs than there were even a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So what's a strategy like, with the competition rates, and you kind of hinted on it, maybe expanding your radius, like how have you decided what markets to look at outside of Columbus or any major metro?
Yeah, for us, it's the biggest thing was, so Jesse said it was 2.5 people that run my flip business. Really, it's like 1.5. It's the Baileys and my mom. I just acquired the deal from there. I'm out of it for the most part. So for me, it was how far will the Baileys go and do my projects?
Okay.
That was one of the things. Okay, they'll still go to Dayton and about an hour and 15 from Columbus, and that's as far as they're going to go. So that's kind of where I go on the flip side. Now I do have flips that are a little bit farther away that I have to sub out myself. So that was really the biggest differentiating factor. Is like, all right, they'll go this far. This is really kind of where my buy box is at this point.
Cool.
Now, Licking County is another one where I have very good success flipping properties, and I see people having success renting properties too. Cheaper price point, obviously the barrier of entry is a little bit lower. The houses out there, Columbus has very old houses too, but there's a lot of older, bigger houses out that way. I don't like to manage big houses in my rental portfolio.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I look at. And then I like to do Section 8 or any kind of other program that'll pay rent. So we do a lot of that in Dayton. And I just look at their rent rates, what they do it by zip code as well. So we buy in zip codes where we can cash flow pretty close to the 2% rule. So
wow, okay.
fine, yeah. But they are, probably not some areas you want to go hang out in a lot of.
Yeah, a little more, maybe a headache on the management side, but again,
it hasn't been yet. Cross my fingers, it has not been.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, I guess, like you're getting guaranteed rent. So instead of chasing people for rent, maybe there's some maintenance stuff. But outside of that, like,
yeah, honestly,
there isn't much to it.
An issue yet. I'd say we bought 15 in the Dayton area in the last year and haven't had too many issues, honestly.
Yeah, knock on wood. Knock on wood.
Absolutely.
I love it.
But every place has bad tenants. It's not your lower income houses. It's not people on Section 8. It's anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah. There's good and bad people in every class of people, every background, everything. Mm-hmm. Good and bad everywhere. Okay, so you're doing 50 projects a year plus, a couple dozen more rentals. How are you funding all these?
A lot of my deals are funded private money. And I would say 50% are funded private money. 50% are bridge loans, which a lot of the times Kiavi. So have very, very favorable terms with them. They're hard to beat in the marketplace for hard money.
Yes.
However, I've built some relationships that will match their terms now. So those are good to have. Not obviously, relationships go a long way. Takes a lot of time to build those, but for somebody who's doing a lot of volume like me and getting in the Kiavi's Pro program, and then there's certain masterminds that get you even better terms and 100% financing. Kiavi is probably the best place to go for that.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And you guys, if you want personal connection into Kiavi, just let me know in the comments here, whether you are on YouTube, Facebook, even if you're on the replay, just comment lenders and I will get you a personal invite to work with Kiavi. They are, I've used them for years and years and have been hands down a solid money partner for sure. Yeah. So you're okay. Private money, hard money. You guys, for those of you that have been around here, you have heard all of these things. Like we are not reinventing we're not reinventing the wheel. Travis, how do you be successful? You do the same thing over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah, we don't change anything. One, I'm the laziest person in the world. So there's not much to change.
There's like a huge benefit to being a quote unquote lazy business owner because you're not doing too much.
And the thing, like for me too, when I have a team, we have to do the same thing over and over. If I have to change a process or use a different lender or change anything to what I do to a rehab, it triggers just a natural reaction of things not going the right way. Just because Dawn is used to working with Kiavi and she knows how to start a deal with Kiavi, how to submit the draws with Kiavi. So it's like we do the same thing over and over many times. That way, if you have a team, it has to be repeatable, duplicable processes.
Yeah.
If it's not, then you're all over the place.
Yep. 100%. So I'm going to answer some questions in the chat that kind of are related to what we're talking about. So, Eve is asking, why do you use black and not brushed nickel for rentals? Like, why is black the choice?
Because that's what the Baileys put in my rentals.
I think it
looks better in my opinion, but
I think it looks better. They stay cleaner. I mean, visually cleaner. And it was on trend, I don't know, like say 2015, and it hasn't really gone away. So I'm still rolling with it too. We do black.
Yeah, and I'd say it could be this too. It's like the ones on Amazon that are just like the long stick. They're cheap. Brushed nickel might be a little more expensive since it's a metal. So.
Yeah. And follow-up question. So are you using Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot? We use Sherwin-Williams, I think. Right.
I'm pretty sure my colors are Sherwin-Williams colors, but where they get them, I don't care.
That's y'all. This is you see the exact same answer. We're kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know. I can tell you what my colors are, but I don't really know where it's bought because that is not worth my time to know that.
I would say I think the Baileys do go to Sherwin-Williams just because of the volume discount if they are doing their rentals. So if you're not get into a program where they will give you a discount on paint volume. So I think I get a discount at Home Depot on paint. So if you're doing any kind of volume, just ask to be part of a program. That way you're not getting the same pricing as somebody who buys 1 gallon every 5 years because they want to repaint a room, get a volume discount. Even if you're not buying a ton of volume, they're still going to give you a discount.
Yeah.
They want you to come back.
Yeah, definitely. Do you refi with Kiavi as well when you refi?
Good question. I do not, or I have not.
I've done one with them and it was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, Kiavi is very process driven and their processes are they are by the book. They don't deviate too much. One person scared me away from Kiavi forever ago when I first started. It's like their appraisers come in low all the time. So I'm like, yeah, I'm never using them. Somebody told me now, I remember who it was. I was probably Lord Clarizio.
Mine just took forever. And I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, I've used, different people. They all kind of suck. There's a lot of information they need. There's really nothing that fast about them.
I tell people to plan 6 weeks on a refi. Yeah. It shouldn't take that long, but it always does. They tell you 3 weeks and it's always 6.
Yeah. And I hear Rochelle, she gets, good rates, actually more favorable rates than most people get direct to their lender. So
yeah,
I know Jesse can connect you with her. She's good. There's some other people in here too that we're trying out. So
a lot of people,
Old Dominion. I hated that as an Old Dominion.
I've never used them.
Financial Dominion.
They like mail me a lot, but I've never used them.
Oh my god, their VP was like the biggest pompous asshole ever. So I'm like, I'm not working with you.
Y'all, relationships matter.
Yeah, he's I built this company to be what it is. I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. A lot of people are asking who we are refinancing with. If y'all just comment lenders in the chat, I will make sure that I get that over to you. We'll share hard money lenders, DSCR lenders. I cannot, I assume you don't share your private lenders. I don't share mine. Those are like friends and family.
Yeah, I mean, most of mine are just other investors.
Yeah. Oh, hey, me. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so anyone, if y'all want our lenders, let us know in the chat, and I will definitely send those over. We have multiple questions, and this is probably a pretty new one. We have multiple questions about the upcoming tariffs, increasing cost. Are you, and I'm curious your answer too, are you worried about things that you maybe underwrote at one rehab cost and now you're going to, the actual cost is going to come in higher? Or what's your thoughts?
I mean, we'll adjust as it happens. Who knows really what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't doomsday prep or anything like that. We pivoted when rates went up to 7, 8, 9%, right? So it's not going to be like it's just going to happen and overnight that the price is going to be, it's going to be baked in. So you're going to see them coming. I'd imagine it's not going to be an insane amount, right? When COVID, a sheet of plywood went from $4 to $48 or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy.
If I'm worried about, maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more on a deal, I didn't buy a good enough deal. That's kind of
say that again.
Yeah. If I have to worry about $1,000 or $2,000 on a deal, it's not a good enough deal.
Yep. I love that. And maybe talk a little bit about mindset of like the volume and maybe like thinking of it more as a business and more of it as a portfolio than as individual projects.
What do you mean exactly by that?
So at a certain point in, at least on the rental side, in your, buying journey, you stop thinking of your business on a per property basis.
Yeah.
Like I could pull up my books and tell you how much each property made, but if you ask me, I have no idea. Yeah. I can tell you how much my whole business made.
Yeah.
So on the flip side, how, like, are you thinking of them like every per project, or are you thinking of it more as like a machine?
No, it's definitely a machine because our wholesaling company and our flip company are all the same company. So we don't separate them. So like our flip dollars go right into our marketing dollars, and the salaries for the people who run our wholesale team, and their commissions come from our flip. So it's definitely a holistic approach. I mean, yeah, we'll look at what we make on each deal, but our goal is set on 2 point whatever million at the end of the year. So that's kind of what we shoot for. I don't even look at a lot of our deals anymore. So when you do, so many, it unfortunately doesn't become as exciting.
Yeah. And they all blur together, right?
Yeah, it really just becomes another number. It's like, well, shoot, how do we make more? Or how do we do cooler projects and stuff like that? So, yeah, it's definitely a holistic approach. We'll look at it, but it's, we have a bigger goal at the end of the year. So how many of these do we need to do to get to that ultimate goal?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, as we wrap up, what are a couple, things that you would leave someone who's like just getting into flips, maybe some like best practices or, things they can't miss? What would you leave everyone with?
Find a property that is a cosmetic update. Don't go into your first deal being a full gut. If you can have a contractor walk it, somebody you trust, and you can get a scope of work from them, if you're local here, who we recommend. That way you have an idea of what you're spending, right? So you can run your numbers based on that. Do something that's, if you can, a 1980s build, 2000s build plus that sits in the cul-de-sac, and you know exactly what that damn thing's selling for. When
yes. Yeah.
Something easy to comp. Don't do something super rural. None of my houses are never unique houses either. I don't buy any weird looking houses. Because
you're literally saying you're like saying everything I say. I like congruent neighborhoods. I want all the houses to look the exact same, built in the same time frame. Because I say if I don't know what a property is worth, neither does the appraiser.
Yeah, exactly. There was somebody who sent me a deal in Commercial Point today, and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what this." I'm like, I don't even know what to tell you. It's too far rural. I would never buy this for my first deal. So
right.
Something easy to comp, something that's easy to flip. If you have somebody who can walk it and give you a good scope of work, definitely do that. If you have a coach or somebody who can look at the deal and analyze it for you, send it over. I'm happy to look at somebody's deals in here too. If there's deals, I'm in the Facebook group. Send them to me. I'll show you how I underwrite them. Now, I will say, if you are competing against me in deals and you are running, or Jesse, 70% minus repairs, you are not going to win. Have a calculator, use a calculator, find out how much you want to make on that deal, and run it that way, because 70% or even 75% now in a competitive market is going to be a hard push.
Not impossible, but I mean, because that's still how I underwrite, honestly. And we get deals, so it's not impossible, but you're right. You in Columbus proper are going to end up overpaying if it's a solid deal.
Yeah, but even like the condo I did, I made 25. If somebody were competing against me on that, I paid 235. If you would underwrite it even at 75%, the max somebody would offer is 200. So they just missed out on $25K, right? So I would use a calculator as much as I can. Jesse, I'm sure you have something.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we've done some deal analysis. So make sure those numbers work in the calculator and do it that way.
I love it. I love it. Travis, thank you so much for your time. A pleasure as always. You guys, if you want support doing exactly what I do and exactly what Travis does, I am hosting a workshop today at 3:00 that I would love to have you guys at. If you want the invite, just comment either YouTube, Facebook, wherever you are, just comment workshop and I will get you that personal invite over. It's live, it's private, and it's with me directly. So would love to see you there. And Travis, thank you. Pleasure as always.
I'll be back.
Yeah, you'll definitely be back. Okay.
See ya.